Hello everybody, it's a Vertical Sandwich, and welcome back to Book Reviews. So right now we're tackling the Remembrance of Earth Past series, and we need to talk about the second book, boom, The Dark Forest. But before we do that, we need to talk about, first off, don't look up The Dark Forest. Like, don't look it up, because here's the thing, is that, like, it's amazing. It's amazing. Now, there are going to be some minor spoilers for the three-body problem, but, no, there's going to be some spoilers for the three-body problem, but it's a book review. Now, here's the thing I'm going to say before you turn this off for spoilers, is go read this book. Just go read it. It's so good. It's so good. Even when you think it's not good, it's great. It's great. It's amazing. The reason I tell you not to look up The Dark Forest is because it kind of ruins it, but, so let's talk about, alright. So here we go. So like, if you haven't turned it off for spoilers, and you're gonna, then now. Alright, you're still here. Okay. So, the three-body problem gave English-speaking readers their first taste of China's most beloved science fiction author, Cixin Liu, quickly gathering as much acclaim in the United States as it had in China. The three-body trilogy continues with the near-future speculative fiction masterpiece, The Dark Forest. Earth is reeling from the revelation of a coming alien invasion in 4 centuries' time. The Trisolarians' human collaborators have been defeated, but the aliens have seeded the Earth with sophons, subatomic particles that allow them instant access to all human information. So Earth's defenses are totally exposed to the enemy. Only the human mind remains opaque. This is the motivation for the Wallfacer Project, a daring plan that grants 4 people enormous resources to design secret strategies, hidden through deceit and misdirection for Earth and Trisolaris alike. 3 of the Wallfacers are influential statesmen and scientists, but the 4th is a total unknown. Luo Yi, an unambitious Chinese astronomer and sociologist, is baffled by his new status. All he knows is that he's the one Wallfacer that Trisolaris wants dead. So yeah, so here's the deal. So the idea is that Trisolarians have decided that the biggest danger of humanity is that we grow, is that our science and technology grows exponentially, which is true. So that in 400 years' time, we may have outpaced them if they don't interfere with us. So they build the subatomic computers that can mess up our particle physics research and lets them spy on the entire planet physically. So they know everything. They have the ultimate spy network. And humans know this, figure this out. And they realize that the only thing that they can't tell is what we're thinking. And so the government decides to take 4 people and grant them unlimited resources to do whatever they want as long as they keep it secret. So they have to come up with a plan to defeat this alien invasion, but they have to keep it a secret. So the things that they do publicly shouldn't be a clue as to what, like, they have to figure out a way to lie about what they're doing. So what it would seem like you're doing is, it would seem like you're, let me see, like it would seem like you're digging a ditch in your yard, but like what you're really planning on doing is, you know, the dirt is being hauled away, and it's being hauled away to a place where, you know it's going to be, so that when you're planning, like, there's a ramp for this vehicle, and like nobody is supposed to, you know, you're keeping it a secret, and so you're supposed to create an overt plan that people will think is going on, and then, like, you know, what you'll. And so the Trisolarians pick people to wall break these people, to figure out their plan, like, to work with them, and because once your plan is publicly announced, then it's useless. It's no longer a secret plan, it's just the thing everybody knows about. So they give it to the resources to these 4 people, and for some reason, the Trisolarians just go, that guy that they picked for no apparent reason, that's the guy who's the most dangerous to us. And so the other 3 start these kind of gigantic projects that are seemingly enigmatic, and this guy decides to he has a dream, and so he finds a place to build, like, his dream house. This house he had in this dream, and finds like he has them locate a woman that looks like this woman he dreamed about, and he starts a life with her. And people are understandably baffled. They're like, you just seem to be using these unlimited resources to have whatever you want, which is really what he's doing. He has no idea. Like, it's very obvious from the book he has no idea what's going on, right? And that's what's kind of magical about it, is that Trisolarians are like, that's the most dangerous guy, and he's just like, I'm just doing this thing. Like, I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to do this. So, like, everybody will just think I'm doing, like, everybody will think I have a secret plan, but I mean, it's just, why not have fun with it? It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. And so, that's all kind of super enjoyable. Now, here's the thing, and this is why you shouldn't look up the Dark Forest, right? Because even at this point, if what I say next, if you look up the Dark Forest, it's gonna hurt you for reading the book and spoiling it. So just don't look it up, right? Because what you have to understand, one of the things that you need to, the three-body problem was obsessed with an idea in astrophysics. Or with orbital mechanics. Now, this book is based around the Fermi Paradox. So, the Fermi Paradox, if you're not aware, is the idea that there should be aliens everywhere. Right? And I think that the classic example is something like, if a society builds a probe, and all that probe does, I dropped my book. But if a society builds a probe, I'm trying to get out of the sunlight here. If a society builds a probe, and the probe's only job is to go to another planet, land there, and then every 1,000 years, it makes 2 additional probes it launches. There's 1,000 years to make 2 probes. Then the entire Milky Way galaxy gets populated by those probes in 1,000,000 years. And the universe has been around for billions. So the question for the Furby Paradox is, where is everybody? Like, shouldn't every orbital body be an archaeologist's paradise? And shouldn't everything usable have been used by now? Like, shouldn't there just be aliens everywhere? And there are several solutions, like potential solutions to the Fermi Paradox. And I'm going to talk about a couple of those, right? So, the first one, not the first one, the one I hear discussed, I think the most famous solution to the Fermi Paradox is the cosmic zoo hypothesis. That we are hidden from the universe on purpose, right? That aliens are not showing themselves to us on purpose because, either they're waiting for us to be ready for them to reveal themselves, or maybe there's something about us that we are so, inherently violent and destructive that, we can't be let out. And the reason that's the most famous solution is because it's the most romantic, right? The idea that there's something so special about it, or there's something great waiting for us at a certain moment. And certainly, that's like a Star Trek thing, right? The entire premise, the prime directive of Star Trek is the zoo hypothesis. Like, that being said, there's also, people have talked a lot about filters, about the idea that life in the universe may be inherently common, but then there are a series of filters that life has to go through to get to colonizing the universe. And that those filters might be things like, maybe unicellular life is common, but cells teaming up together to form a multicellular organism is pretty rare. Like, it takes rare pressures to... Maybe planets in the Goldilocks zone are really rare. We know that's not the case, right? At this point, that has been kind of eliminated. We know potentially habitable planets and water is not rare. Right? I mean, but then maybe the filters are something more, you know, the one that for our situation seems the most likely is maybe it's really hard with the resources on your planet to colonize off your planet without without destroying the planet. Or maybe population growth is essentially exponential. It has to be exponential for an organism, but then that makes colonization inherently problematic because exponential growth means that once you fill a planet, you fill the next planet in like 1 generation, right? Or 2 generations. These are things, right? That like all these are potential, or maybe it's just the spacing between solar systems is so vast, and you know the speed of light is actually a speed limit, and so these things become really problematic. So like maybe it's those, maybe and there's also, you know, maybe like there's also people have proposed that we're the first, you know, technological intelligent civilization in this galaxy. That is not mathematically not as remote a possibility as it would seem, even with the amount of time. If that event is that rare, and that the and some people have proposed too that the idea is that since the answer to the Fermi Paradox is, and I love the Fermi Paradox, this is why I'm talking about it so much, right? The idea, there's an idea that in general, in a solar system, or in a galaxy, that the first being to spread out would inherently suppress the ability of others. That like domination is almost instantaneous, and then once that happens, then you've established a hegemony, and then the idea of another species rising up to colonize as well is inhibited by its very nature. So the fact that we haven't met aliens means that, you know, we're racing to be the first right now. And the minute we're not the first, we'll know it. And that's also interesting. And then you can argue that because what you need to know about, if you ask, well, then why haven't we seen people from other galaxies? The answer is because it's 12 million light years to the next galaxy. 12 million. That's how far apart they are. I mean, it's mind-boggling. Like, that's a crazy amount of distance. So, anyway, we're reviewing a book. So you need to have an idea of the Fermi Paradox before you pick up this book. You should have that. But don't look up the Dark Forest and how it relates to the Fermi Paradox, otherwise you'll ruin some stuff. Now, we need to read the inside of the book. When he saw the oblong slab of iron ore for a second time, his first instinct was to dash himself into it head first and put an end to everything. Instead, he lay down on the stone's smooth surface, whose coolness drained off some of the irritation from his mind. With his body, he felt the hardness of the ore, and weirdly thought of a problem put forth by his high school physics teacher. How can you make a marble bed as soft as a Simmons mattress? The answer: dig out a depression in that marble the exact size and shape of a human body. Then when you lie in that depression, the pressure will be evenly distributed, and it will feel incredibly soft. He closed his eyes and imagined that the warmth of his body was melting the iron ore beneath him and forming that kind of depression. Gradually, this calmed him. After a time, he opened his eyes and looked up at the bare ceiling. The meditation room had been designed by Dag Hammarskjöld, Second Secretary General of the UN, who believed that the UN ought to have a place for meditation, removed from the history-making decisions of the General Assembly Hall. Liu didn't know whether any head of state or ambassador to the UN had actually meditated here, but surely when Hammarskjöld died in 1961, he never imagined that a wall-facer like himself would be daydreaming here. Luigi felt himself getting snared once again in a logical trap, and once again was convinced that he could not extricate himself. Now here's the thing, is the main character in this book goes on a miraculous journey of kind of discovery and intellectual exploration. And really, in the on the face of it, ruins himself. It's the counterpoint to the character in the first book, who has been ruined by the world around them. This main character takes the biggest gift the world can give them, which is access to its unlimited resources with no questions, and just ruins themselves. Just ruins himself. And that character's kind of journey towards some type of redemption spans 200 years of time. He goes into cryogenic stasis at some point and wakes up when the fleet is halfway to Earth, and it's amazing. It's amazing. I can't tell you. I mean, all those things about the Fermi Paradox, which I know I ranted and raved about in the book review, that really had very little to do with that. That is one of the, again, that's why these are some of the most difficult book reviews I've had to do, is because I have to talk about kind of all of these other things. So that, and kind of the fate of the wall facers and the program in general, and what it does to this guy, and what it turns him into, and then it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. And then the kind of, I mean, and it's a surprising book because everything is secret, right? Like, everything that's going on in this book is going on as a form of subterfuge, that you never know what the characters are thinking, because that's the point. They're the wall facers. And then this particular wall facer being the only one that actually has a chance to succeed, and he's not even playing the game. Like, he's just off on his own. Oh, I can't tell you. It's so hard to not spoil what is so great about kind of everything about this, that, yeah, like, amazing. It's just amazing. So, like, you just need to trust me on this, that this book is a revelation. That, like, the Three Body Problem won the Hugo Award, but they should have won all of the awards. Like, all of them. And here's the thing, is the tone of this book doesn't change a lot from the Three Body Problem, so the change in translator doesn't seem to be the thing that makes this book amazing. The revelation in this book is the ideas. Is the fact that Cixin Liu does an amazing job of integrating these kind of novel ideas that you wouldn't think about, like the Fermi Paradox, and like the way you would think about the Fermi Paradox, and like adding that into a book that has an amazingly engaging plot about intellectual subterfuge and the inevitable doom of the planet, and then taking that and making it inherently, like, readable and surprising and wonderful, and, like, you will absolutely, when you put this book down, you will be like, that is one of the best things I've ever read. It's so good. This is such a good book. Read this book. Like, read the Three Body Problem to read this book. It is 500 pages long. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. That's how entertaining and wonderful and cool, like, this book is. And if you don't like the book, keep reading it. Keep reading it. And if you don't like this book at the end, then, like, here's the thing. Don't watch my reviews anymore. You don't know what you're doing. Like, that's how good this book is. That's how good this book is. This book is amazing. You read this, and this is, like, one of the things that got me just started. Like, I read the Three Body Problem because somebody suggested it to me because it was, like, an interesting piece of, like, modern sci-fi, and then I read the sequel and went, I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could do that. Like, so, yeah. And, like, don't research anything about it. Just, like, know what you need to know about the Furby Paradox, and, like, go ahead and read this book. And then, you know, you get your money back for this review because you paid nothing. If you didn't like it. You can't not like it. If you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. Then you just don't like reading great stuff. Like, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good, and it didn't win the Hugo Award. It's just, like, such a great novel. So yes, read the Three Body Problem, and when we come back, we will definitely be talking about Death's End, the third book in this series, and final book. I'll see you for that. Bye, everybody.